Morning, everyone. Today we're going to talk about making an orchid. My friend Hanny called me up and said, "Hey, would you make an orchid cookie?" And I said, duh, yes, I'd love to, because I got this cutter like 2 years ago from eCrandle, and it's gorgeous, and I love it, and I haven't had an excuse to make anything with it. So I was like, oh, please, give me an orchid, and she said, okay. So I got to make an orchid. And this is what it's going to look like in the end. This isn't exactly the best job, but this isn't going to be a quick and easy cookie. It's going to be time involved, three-dimensional. Yeah, so not a rush job, but this will be fun if you want to give it a shot. So let's get started. Okay, you're going to start out with some Gumpaste and roll it out pretty thin. Gumpaste is the only thing I found that actually did what I wanted it to do. We're making the center of the orchid. I'm sure you could probably pipe this, but I wanted a more of a 3D effect, so I did it this way. So anyway, fill out your Gumpaste pretty thin. If you're doing a colored flower, we're doing a white one, but if you're doing a colored one, obviously you color your Gumpaste. And then I'm going to take this little, it's a rose petal cutter, and I'm going to press down, cut out a couple of these. No big deal. Yeah. Anyway, and then peel this back, and you've got your little petal shapes. I rolled my Gumpaste out on parchment paper because I think traditionally you're supposed to put some sort of a, like Crisco or something on your work surface and roll it out, and I just didn't really feel like dirtying up my work surface, and this works just fine for me. So, that's what I used. And you're going to take one of your little teardrops, roll it on up. It's okay if you warp it a little bit, no big deal. Okay, and you get your foam mat, put your little petal down on it, and then you're going to take, oh, you don't trip over your own chair and kill yourself. Then you're going to take this little ball tool here, and you're just going to kind of start working on the edges. Just kind of start thinning it out, and you can, work in the center if you want, but the point is you're trying to make these edges much thinner than the center. And the thinner these edges are, the more it kind of ruffles up. And you can see it start to kind of warp. And that's what you want. You want it to kind of warp up. I am not an expert Gumpaste whatever person or anything like fondant and Gumpaste. I'm kind of a Royal Icing girl, so I'm sure there are probably some cake people out there that might watch this, and if they do, they're probably going to go, she's not an expert. I know I'm not. I'm just kind of winging it. Anyway, so you get it all nice and roughly like that. The rougher the better. Okay, then we're going to take the top here, and we're going to kind of roll it together just a little bit, and sort of pinch it together like that at the top. And then we're going to take that, and we're going to take a teaspoon. We're going to just kind of set it in there, and it's going to go ahead and take the little shape like that. And while it's like this, you can do this now or you can do it later, but we're going to do it now. We're going to turn on the airbrush. You know how much I love the airbrush. Let's see what color we've got in here already. Looks like nothing. Okay. Green airbrush. I'm going to start off with some yellow. And go ahead and, it's going to be an awkward little position here. Spray a little bit, very light-handed, in the center like this, just so you get a little color right there. And you can leave it like that because there's a lot of orchids that are just yellow centered, and that's it. But we're going to add a little more color. I'm going to come in with the purple. Whoops. What a mess today. Go with the purple. So we're just going to kind of very lightly mist the bottom here. See, I got a little heavy-handed there. But, you know, you get the point. You don't even have to put the purple on it if you don't want to. It does darken it up, add a little more color. Anyway, you're going to let that dry overnight, because otherwise it's going to be too floppy to handle, and that should be your center. So we'll let that dry overnight and move on. Okay, next you're going to take your orchid cookie that you cut out and baked, and you're going to find a center, which would be about here. Go ahead and just mark it. And then pipe your petals. I'm just using some white icing. This is a number 2, but a number 1 will work okay too. I don't know why my icing is acting a little funny today. See, everyone has funny icing days. I'm hard pressed to find one person I know that doesn't have at least 1 or 2 days out of the week where they don't have icing that just misbehaves. Okay, you've got them all piped. I'm going to, you hear my drawers opening and closing. Go ahead and fill those petals in. Okay, once you got that all filled, do not worry about the center. If it looks kind of, you know, whatever, we're going to fix it. We're going to go in with a little more airbrushing. Go very light-handed. And you can do this while the cookie's still wet. It's not a big deal. The cookie won't care. Just go in a little in the center. I'm using the purple. Ooh. You just kind of fade out. Yeah, it's just so it's in the center. Okay. And then you can let that dry, or you can move on if you're feeling brave. And if you are feeling brave, you're going to move on. You can move on to your center that you've already made. See? You take just a little bit of your thick icing, stick it right there on the back. Then you're going to, whoop. You're going to try not to touch what's wet. See, this is why the whole feeling brave part comes in. You're going to stick it right there in the center. You let that dry. Okay, my cookie isn't entirely dry yet, but we're just going to kind of move on. While it's drying, or once it's dry, I'd probably say once it's dry, you're going to put a tiny bit of icing here in the center, because orchids seem to have that little bulb thing. What is it, the center? That little center? And if you want, you can stick a little, this is an Ivory sugar pearl. Just stick it right, kind of right there. And clean that up a little bit. And you can go back in with your airbrush if you want. You can leave it like that. Or go back in with your airbrush and kind of touch the center with some color just right there so that it kind of blends together. And then let it dry, and there's your completed orchid. Ta-da! It's a multi-step process, but I think it's worth it. They look real pretty to me. And there you go. I hope you found this entertaining. This is an experimental project of mine, so if you watch this and went, wow, this is much more slapdash than usual stuff, it's because it's an experiment. But you know, you never learn how to do anything new without taking a couple risks and doing things out of your comfort zone and pushing some limits. So hopefully that's what I did. Anyway, make sure you remember to subscribe. I've got videos coming out every week. I've got a lot more flowers coming up for spring. So if you've got a lot of flower projects, make sure you keep checking back because I'll have a lot of flowers. Okay, have a good afternoon. Thanks for watching. Bye.